Do you know that the Civil War was actually fought in New Mexico? We're going to visit some of the battlefields today on Colorado Martini Living. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a minute of Colorado Martini. The Confederate Army actually came up to New Mexico. They started in the south at Fort Craig and made their way up to northern New Mexico, trying to take Fort Union. So let's go take a look at some of those battlefields. Glorieta Pass Battlefield was a battle that was fought during the Civil War. It is often referred to as the Gettysburg of the West. On this battlefield, Union forces stopped the Confederacy. They were trying to seize the Southwest's major supply base at Fort Union nearby. Confederate General Henry Sibley's plan envisioned gaining control of the goldfields of Colorado, the mineral-rich Nevada, and the ports of California, as well as northern Mexican states of Chinchilla, Sonora, and Baja California. Their defeat at the Battle of Glorieta Pass ended the Confederate incursion into the Southwest. The Confederate soldiers came from Texas, and they soon captured Santa Fe on March 10, 1862. On March 28th, after 2 days of battle at Glorieta Pass, Union troops, including Colorado and New Mexico volunteers, burned a poorly guarded Confederate supplies camp. They slaughtered or freed hundreds of horses and mules. Within 2 weeks of their defeat, Confederate troops were forced to withdraw to Texas. This battlefield was designated a National Historic Landmark on November 5, 1961. So we're coming into Apache Canyon, and this is where
the Apaches lived?
where the first part of the battle started. So this is mile 300, and we're, basically the battle was, fought all around here. A lot of it's on private land, and,
Even in that trailer?
No, it's not in that trailer.
You said all around.
On the land. We're on our way to Pigeon Ranch, and at Pigeon Ranch had some of the heaviest fighting of the battle. All that stands now at Pigeon Ranch is an adobe structure, but at one time it was a very successful not only stage stop, but also a stop on the Santa Fe Trail. And they found a mass grave of Confederate soldiers right across the street. So this whole area all around me saw the most fighting of the battle. This whole area. So the well, the oldest well in the United States, is right across the street.
Oh shit, still water in it.
And there's still water in it? This is like a really busy street.
It's like 30 feet down, maybe.
Oh my goodness. And then over here is the adobe structure, so it's literally on the other side of the road. So it's so cool. We just ran into one of the rangers who was here with a guy from History Magazine, and he gave us permission to go up to the building to take pictures through the windows. The one thing that he did clear up for us, that well is not the oldest well in the United States. That was a publicity stunt. It's old, but it's not the oldest well in the United States. So let's go take a look at this building. So this is all that's left of Pigeon Ranch. It's literally, I mean, this Highway 50 was Route 66. It's a very, very busy road, so be very careful when you come here. But the only structure that still remains is this adobe structure. So you park over here, there's the water well, and here's the remaining structure. So take a picture from a distance because it is a closed area. So he says no, this building's not being used for anything. I think if we go, so.
He said far side.
He says if you look in, that you can find some graffiti from its time here, and this building was here during the battle. So that is part of Pigeon Ranch, that ridge that's there. He did tell us not to walk over there because for historical reasons. So let's take a look.
Yeah, the battlefield.
Yeah, because that's the battlefield. Here's some more, looks like structures that belong to the structures. Was that the only window?
Like it. Maybe there's some on the roadside.
The sun's so bright we can't look in the windows.
No, it's hard.
Well, let's see what we can get.
Hold on.
I mean, seriously, look how close this building is to this road.
What a hoot!
On Route 66.
Sharpshooter's located up on the ridge there, and it's a high point, and you can't scurry up it. You've only got one way up it, so if you protect the one way, those sharpshooters
right
can
there.
sit up there all day long.
Yeah, so the other side is like a cliff. And so these were Confederates, and they thought that Chivington was going to come around, and so they were waiting on him, which I guess he never did.
I think you got that backwards. The Union troops fortified themselves here in defensive positions, and they were expecting Chivington to come around and assist them, and they never did.
And Chivington,
I believe, is Union.
He is Union.
Okay, so the Union troops had to fall back and leave this position after a couple hours of battle, but they had many defensive positions set up where they staggered their retreat backwards until somebody would show up. So they were just holding it. They were outnumbered tremendously. But by finding good defensive positions like Sharpshooter Hill and shit, you can hold the ground and weed out your enemy's forces, you know. Anyway, that's my version of it.
So there are, like, you can find remnants of Pigeon Ranch all over the place. So respect the land. Ranger Eric said that we could come in and get up close and take pictures. That was just so lucky that we ran into him. He was with a writer from History Magazine, so he gave us a lot of information on this area.
He was from this guy.
So one thing that the ranger told us is that all the structures were used, the wood was taken and used someplace else. When the railroad came in, this place was not used anymore for the stagecoach. But the guy who owned it, made it into kind of a tourist place surrounded around the battlefield. And so there's all these great old postcards that are out there about Pigeon Ranch. But Route 66 is right behind us. What's now Highway I-25. So it's a really, really busy highway, so be careful if you come here.
Don't forget to stop at the well.
At the well. And again, it's not the oldest well in the United States. Ranger Eric cleared that up for us. So there's a lot of misinformation out there on the internet about that well. One thing about the well, it is really cool and it is really old. So just because it's not the oldest well in the United States, still take a gander at it because it's pretty cool. So I'm standing where the most of the battle happened, but it's private property, most of this area, and so it's not protected like it is within the Pecos Historical Park. So around you is many houses, or they're pretty much spreads because they're on property, like 5 acres, 2 acres and stuff. They own part of the battlefield, but we're going to go to the battlefield where you can actually hike out, that is protected. But the most of the fighting that happened was here at Pigeon Pass. So over there is where they found the mass grave. So remember that this is private property across the street, so do not go over there. And then you do not want to enter this area over here. It is a closed area, so be warned about that. But you can take pictures from a distance. It's not nothing's obstructing it. So you're going to park over here. The well is right there, and then what's left of Pigeon Ranch. But this was all Pigeon Ranch, this whole area. So it is a historical area. Please respect that. So I am standing right where the well is, and further down the road, right where the turnout is, where you're going to park, the guy's house right there, he was building a structure, and when he was digging there, he found a mass grave of Confederate soldiers, many who were buried in Santa Fe. So we've been having a really hard time finding where the Confederate soldiers were buried here at the National Cemetery. We finally found it. They're in section K, 330C. I'll put some coordinates on my blog. You'll find a link to the article about this place down in the description of this video, and it will take you to the blog that will give you explicit directions and coordinates exactly where this is. So we're in section K. There's K right there, and to your left, so you've got these boarded up buildings that look like it was an old church school, And just below it is the plaque where Mr. Martini's standing. To my left here, my west, is what is like a caretaker house now. It's actually a historical building. There's two of them over there. And then the old iron gates are over here. You will see this very unique personal headstone right beneath where the plaque is. So let's go take a look at the plaque. So here's where the Confederate soldiers are. I have found one headstone behind them. It has a name on it. This is Private Cotton right here. He is a Confederate soldier because it says CSA on his headstone here, and the 4th Texas Regiment, like it says on his headstone, were the Confederate soldiers that came from Texas. Also, the date, March 28th, 1862, is the day of the battle, and it does say on the bottom, the Battle of Glorieta Pass. Now, next to Private Cotton are many unknowns. They all say U.S. soldiers on them. There's, as far as I can see, there's 3 rows there. Here's more rows. There's another Confederate soldier there. 6 unknowns. 6 unknowns. These are all unknown soldiers from that battle. So anybody that's got 1862, March 28th, 1862, died at that battle. A lot of the unknown soldiers that are over here, you know, here's the plaque. They don't say the date, but there's a lot of the CSA, which is the Confederate soldiers, that do have the date on their headstones. So I'm finding more and more as I walk around. They're all around the plaque that's here. So they tried to identify as many as they could. And the ones they couldn't, they put unknown, and they tried to contact you know, their descendants to see if they wanted them buried here or someplace else. So as you walk through here, you actually find quite a few of the Confederate soldiers all around the plaque, the monument. So here's another one here. Adair, I'm not sure how to say that. It's Adair, Captain. He is one of the Confederate soldiers also. So the memorial is really hard to see from the road. It's like right there, and it's so hard to see. So you can use this tree, if it's still here, as a marker. So the big tree, and it's right below it. But it is right there, and so you can see it really blends in. So when you are going to go to the Glorieta battlefield, it's very important that you stop off at the Pecos National Park and get this little map. It's just down the street from the battlefield. But the thing is that they have a gate there that's locked, and you need to get the combination of the lock. So when you come back here, it's actually in a residential area. As you can see, the roads aren't maintained that well, and it does go to dirt. they're not maintained that well in the wintertime. You're going to start to see signs for the National Historic Park, but again, you have to go to the visitor center of the Pecos Historical Park to get the code to get in here. I will put the coordinates of where we are down in the description. So you're going to come up to a gate, and that's what you need the combination for, is to be able to get into the parking lot of the battlefield.
The combination.
Martini's putting the combination in. So I guess this used to be called the Old Denver Highway back in the day. Right now it's called Magpie Road in Glorieta. So it's kind of bizarre that it doesn't get a lot of fanfare, it being a Civil War battlefield. But there's supposed to be hiking trails back here. We're not going to go on the hiking trails because as you see, there's a lot of snow on the ground, so that's not going to happen. About a half a mile to the southeast of Pigeon Ranch on Highway 50 is a popular stop along the old Route 66. It was called Arrowhead Camp. It was established in 1927. It boasted a main lodge, 7 cabins, a store, a service station, a trailer camp, and a cafe. In the 1930s, an overnight stay in one of the cabins only cost you 50 cents. And in the 40s, it was a popular spot amongst the locals for dinner and dancing. Though Route 66 was rerouted in 1937, bypassing Arrowhead Camp. And the name was changed to Arrowhead Lodge. The facility opened and closed over the years, but by the 70s, it was privately owned. All that remains today is a main building that has been remodeled as a residence and the ruins of the cabins. If you just drive further down Highway 50, you will find some magnificent memorials to the soldiers. You will find it in a very large turnout, where you'll find another abandoned building, and is located on the north side of the road. When you travel on Highway 50 and make your way to the Pecos National Park Visitor Center, you will pass the old trading post. During the Civil War Battle of Glorieta Pass, the trading post served as a Union Army headquarters and hospital. Make sure that you check out our video on the Pecos National Historic Park. We go into more detail about the trading post and its history. So it was very cool running into Ranger Eric. He gave us permission to go over and take pictures. Told us there was the graffiti inside that if we could see through the windows, we could get pictures, and it was worth it. It was definitely very, very cool. But because I had such a hard time finding where this memorial is and all these headstones from this battle, I'm going to drop a pin. Again, I'm going to put it on my blog. There'll be an article associated with this. But definitely come and pay your respects. I'm also taking pictures of all the headstones because they don't have them on findagrave.com, so I'm hoping to rectify that. We have some great suggestions on some books on this subject down in our description of this video, or you can go to our blog at coloradomartinis.com, and that's martinis with an S. Make sure to check out all our videos on traveling in New Mexico. It is truly an enchanted place. Make sure to check out the links in the description. They help support this channel. And thank you so much for coming by. You have no idea how much we appreciate it.